Hi guys, welcome back to ToK today. Today we're looking at essay number 4, just an overview, not a detailed look at the essay. We'll be doing that in a later video. This is Gareth giving us his Guru Mentor view on the essay title. You can see the earlier videos that he did, links in the video description. Let's move on to essay number 4, which is, do we underestimate the challenges of taking knowledge out of its original context and transferring it to a different context, discussed with reference to 2 areas of knowledge? So this sort of application of knowledge in a different context issue. So again, slightly challenging wording here, underestimate the challenges of. It's not straightforward. The question's not, what are the challenges, but do we underestimate them?
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird because it's very open-ended and very, I don't want to say vague, but it's not definite. And yet it's a yes-no answer. So there's a real kind of friction there, isn't there? Well, what really interests me about this title is the word original context. And I think the first obvious thing to say is an area of knowledge in itself could be a context. So there's an opportunity for students to discuss times when knowledge is taken out of one area of knowledge and put into another area of knowledge, and it has value. But then I think also coming back to this discussion of culture, I mean, it could be that knowledge from one culture into the context of another culture.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of it in that way, actually.
Yeah.
I'd only thought about areas of knowledge, but the cultural transfer gives us lots of opportunity for discussion. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I always remember the design writer Victor Papanek talking about this. He talked, and he called it telesis, I think. That was the name he gave for it. And that was very much that, a design from one culture being taken into another culture and failing. And the example he gave was, I think they're called tatamis. They're like paper mats, or quite strong paper mats. But of course, in Japan, where the culture is never to wear shoes inside the house or outdoor shoes, they kind of worked. But when they became fashionable in the US, I think in the 60s and 70s, they degraded very, very quickly. And the design was of little value in the American context. It's a long time since I've thought about that case study, but I think I'm right, generally right in that. Yeah,
I think that's an excellent case study for giving students a sort of an idea of the sorts of knowledge and the ways in which things are taken from one context to another. I think that in the arts there are a lot of examples here that we can look at. And students can draw upon their language and literature course if they do language A, when they look at language in context and out of context. So I know that the school I last taught at, the students used to look at how language in Black American language had been taken and put into sort of more popular usage, should we say. Even the word work, come back to that. Apparently,
exactly. There's a lot of interesting writing about the appropriation of Ebonics in the US and people that have fallen foul for or been accused of doing it. And there's a minefield. But
an interesting minefield to pick our way through.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of also unpicking what's meant by challenges, and it's not. It's in a sense, it's quite easy to come up with case studies and ideas about knowledge from one area context being transplanted into another. But then I think students have got to remember that it's specifically asking about whether we underestimate the challenges, which presupposes that you need to understand what the challenges are.
The way that I'm seeing you can get through it is that sort of describe what the challenges might be, which essentially come down to application, interpretation, and disruption of pre-existing knowledge. And then you have to come up with some criteria for whether those things are underestimating or not, because you can't sort of make an objective statement about people's reactions to knowledge transfer. So you have to say, well, it is underestimating it if we take disruption as being the main issue, or it's not underestimating it if we take positive evolution of knowledge as being the main outcome.
There's another opportunity here to discuss unintended consequences as well. So many times in history, we've sought to achieve particular goals and had the opposite effect, and lots of unforeseen things have occurred that weren't intended.
Yeah, I think they're really great examples. Any more on essay number 4?
The more I read it, the more I think it's a very exciting one to have a go at, really.
It's the closed-ended nature of it, I think, is challenge for some. Okay, there we have it. The thoughts of Gareth on essay number 4. I hope that you found that useful. I did. If you did, then I'd love a like. And if you're writing ToK essay number 4 this year, then hit subscribe, because I've got a lot more content coming up. And if you want essay notes or a free download of essay notes on essay number 4, then head over to toktoday.com. Stay talktastic, my friends.